Hello, and welcome to episode 304 of Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. My name is David Reed. Really appreciate you joining me. Lane Gates, who played Shifu in Season 4's Absolute Power, is joining us for this episode. This is one of my all-time favorite shows. Before we get started, how good are you at episodes? Episode titles specifically from Stargate? Because if you are, reach out to me at dialthegateshow@gmail.com. We are having an episode title exclusive trivia episode coming up in just a few weeks here. So if you want to get on Zoom and join us and participate live and see if you can take away that big, beautiful statue from Nicole for all her victories, please come in and take it from her. I would really appreciate it. But in the meantime, we have a very special guest, Lane Gates, who played Shifu in Stargate SG-1. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for agreeing to come on. And I have to ask, when I first got in touch with you a while back, were you surprised that this character and this show is still vibrating with people, is still resonating with people? Or was it like, oh yeah, I totally got that. I knew that from the beginning, that this was going to be something that people would be talking about for years.
No, I mean, it's interesting because every few years I'll get a fan that from the show that'll find my address somehow and send me a piece of mail with some pictures or something to sign.
What do you
Something
do?
like well, you'll sign it, send it
Oh,
back
you
to them.
do?
Some, sometimes, not all the time, but I think the last one was from Sweden or something like that. So she sent it
Wow.
a really long way to me to sign a photo,
They're
right?
actually looking
But
you up. Wow, I don't know about that,
yeah,
man. Come on, respect your boundaries, please.
of course.
Only reach out
But
to you through social media.
it's hard to think about that it was 20 almost 20 years over 20 years ago that I
Wow.
played this character, and it still means so much to people.
How
Um,
how old were you?
I was like 11 or 12, I
Okay.
believe, and I'm 30. I just turned 36. So
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
this
I
was
haven't acted in
2000.
about 20 years.
I always ask this with the child actors who come on. We've been privileged to have several of them so far.
Hmm.
Whose idea was it? Was it yours or was it your folks?
So my mother originally got me into like modeling and stuff like that. And I went on a couple of auditions and I really liked it when I was a kid. But as I kind of got older, I mean, if you watch the episode, my voice is at the crackling stage of my life. So it was a little awkward trying to be serious when your voice cracks every few minutes.
Yeah.
Um, that was kind of the last big hurrah for my acting. After that, I kind of got more into girls and horses, and wasn't interested in acting quite as much. But I still did some stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, it was more or less my mom that kept pushing me because I was really good at memorizing lines, but I really didn't enjoy the acting part of it too much because I mean you're a kid, you don't really understand the roller coaster of emotions that these characters are going through because you're a kid, you haven't really experienced a lot of those things yourself. So
For sure. This is a whole system you're just being thrown into. I mean,
mhm.
I can only imagine what it's like, especially if this is something that your parent thinks that you're good at, but if you're
Mhm.
not like truly enjoying it yourself
Yeah.
day to day, if it really is kind of a paycheck for you, I can
Yeah.
understand being like, you know what? I've done it. I love you, mom.
Mhm.
Let's move on to something else. Girls and
Yeah.
horses,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, right. So
Jeez.
that was I Stargate was kind of the last thing that I did. Um, Other than, maybe some stuff behind the scenes for smaller projects. Um, we worked on, I don't know if and you guys deal with this in the States, but we read watch a movie called The Lottery. Basically it's everybody in the small town farmers, um, basically all are involved in this lottery, and the winner basically gets stoned to death as a as a tribute to the harvest gods or something like that.
Oh my, this is
So
1969.
yeah, so that was what the short story was based off of, and we redid something that ended up in the Vancouver Film Festival. So I was just behind the scenes, picking up equipment and using my pickup truck and things like that. But that was the very last thing that I did
Well,
for acting wise.
it's a huge portion of your industry up there, so it makes sense that sooner or later, you're going to cross people who, you can do favors for and things like that. So I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
So this represented like 3 or 4 years of your life when you were younger?
Yeah, I mean, I think I first started acting and doing that when I was about 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah, and Major Crimes was the first
Yeah.
real movie I was a part of, and I did a bunch of few projects after that. I was in The Crow and Resurrection, which was like uh movie with Christopher Lloyd in it. Was There weren't like very good movies, but they were
Their
pretty good for
work.
the time, and it was a lot of work as a kid. So, um,
Was it an audition grind, or were you just doing it like every once in a while? How frequently were you guys really pounding this in?
so as a kid, I mean, we were going on auditions quite a bit, like sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, auditioning for all these things. And when you did finally get something, it was, pretty exciting.
Yeah,
Because memorizing all those lines for all these auditions was quite difficult as a child, but it was fun too at the same time. But as you kind of get older, it kind of you want to start doing other things. It wasn't quite as fun anymore. So
for sure. Do you ride?
not anymore.
You don't ride horses anymore? Okay.
Yeah, I've got 3 kids, so it's
Wow, you've got
trying to find
three.
trying to find the time to ride is far and few between now. So
And can
I'm trying
I?
to get my daughter into riding.
Okay. How old's the oldest?
14.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's man, how time flies. And
Mhm.
what do you do now for work? You and I have talked a little bit of it
Yeah.
previously, but
So I run heavy equipment in the oil field, um, up north in northern Canada there.
okay.
So
So
yeah, we
you're up
work on.
there. You're away from home a lot then.
Yes. So sometimes I'm home, like away from home for about 6 weeks. Our normal schedule we try to keep is 20 days working and 10 days off. But that can off when times are busy,
Hmm.
they'll usually have us stay in a little bit longer,
Hmm.
and then I'll get to be home for a little bit longer too. So right now I've just been off for about 2 weeks, which has been nice.
Wow, blue collar like my family, man. I totally get that. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's hard being away from little kids.
It is.
Especially the
Yeah.
ones that are yours. The other ones you can take or leave them, but your kids, yeah, that's really tough. So,
Yeah. When they call you on the phone and it's data, it's like
ah,
heartbreaking. When are you going to be home, right? It's,
yeah. I'm
it's
I'm
that's a little tough for sure, but
keeping you in sneakers and diapers and everything else is not always easy. So, had you
yeah, especially in Canada right now, everything's skyrocketing. So
everything's all over the place. I don't understand anything anymore. I don't
yeah.
claim to. Had you heard? How aware of you were Stargate? How aware were you of Stargate before the audition?
Not very. So when I first went to the audition and was researching the show, I pretty much watched as many episodes as were available at the time. But yeah, not really, but it was a really good show. I continued watching it long after I was on the show, just as a fan, right?
Oh,
So
really? So you became one?
yeah, I definitely became a
Oh,
fan
that's
of the show after
great.
that.
Did you
Yeah.
see Maternal Instinct in season 3, which sets the stage for your episode with Keb, the monk there, whom you're kind of a chip off the old block of? Did you see any of that episode before your audition? And if so, did that inform your approach at all?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, we were able to see that episode and kind of see what they were trying to set up and kind of go for. Um, but yeah, so come to the choices you made as the character. I mean, they pretty much tell you what as a kid what they're looking for, and you try and emulate it as best you can without really knowing too much what you're doing, right? But
Exactly.
yeah, so I mean, you'd have it explained to you from the directors and things like that, and other actors, kind of what they're hoping for,
Uh,
which really help as a kid. So,
oh, absolutely. Do you remember anything about the audition?
uh,
I know I'm really pulling it
not the
back in.
audition itself, but
Okay.
I remember a lot about actually filming. So, but
Okay.
the actual audition itself was kind of a whirlwind.
Like you.
Yeah, we didn't really think anything of it either at the time, because it was just one audition of many that we were going on, and so you tend not to think about the audition and try and put it in the back of your mind and not be hopeful because more likely than not you're not going to get the role. So when
Right.
you do get the role, it's like, okay, now I can be excited about it, or when they do callbacks, you can kind of get a little more excited, but you try and forget about it altogether and try and just move on with your day. Because otherwise it's, as a kid, we're constantly not getting picked for things that
For
can kind of.
sure. How many how many are you up against when you have an on-site audition? How many Shifus are in the room with you? Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 4? I mean,
So when you go in for an audition,
yeah.
they have auditions for days on end, right? And they
Oh,
have an audition. Every audition's 15 minutes long. So you're in a waiting room. There's about 5 or 6 other kids with you for just that 1 hour period,
wow.
and then they move on to the next. So they're going through hundreds and hundreds of kids.
My gosh. Wow,
Yeah,
just to get the right one. So it does
yeah,
kind of like feel like winning the lottery when you get it.
absolutely right. And then
Wow.
you try to forget the ones that you don't because, the chances of you being picked out of these hundreds of kids is quite slim.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm really adept at memorizing my lines, which I think, pissed other people off sometimes because I know my lines and your lines, right? And I'm a 10-year-old kid, so
Yeah, well, some people that is a muscle that some people just have and they can drill it. It goes in and they can spit it right back out. Peter
yeah,
DeLuise directed this episode. One of my favorite
yes,
directors, if not my favorite director.
he was a whole lot of fun.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Did he
he
bribe
kept
with you with video games by any chance?
not with video games, but no, we kept goofing around, and he kept telling me to quit hitting on his girlfriend. But
Anne Marie?
yeah,
Anne Marie was there?
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's great. Uh,
yeah.
when you got the sides for this, did you have any um, kind of thought where it's like, this character is kind of cool? I'm basically a weapon, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
The coolest part was like I've got all this power, to be good or evil. So that I mean that was really kind of cool. And the premise of the episode kind of escaped me until later when we watched the episode, but to really understand the significance of it. But that was cool. I mean, the first thing you read in that you coming in as a tornado. I mean, that's pretty badass. I thought as a kid. So, I mean, you can kind of understand the power of this one character to kind of for either
Exactly.
side,
They're
right?
these things. We don't really know what they are yet. We eventually find out that they're what the ancients became.
Hmm.
And just to reestablish for everybody, Apophis sired a child with Daniel's wife, Sha're,
Right.
between seasons 1 and season 2. And in season 2, Shifu is born. Big blue eyes on this little boy by season 3. And then season
Yeah.
4, they bring you in. And we've been looking for this child, but we weren't looking for him to be 12. We were looking for him to be 2, you know?
Right.
And then you come out of this storm, and everyone's like,
Hmm.
okay, what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with something powerful.
Yeah.
And what is it? What is it beyond that? Did you find the language to be bizarre, intimidating? And was it hard to maintain this facade of just like, I don't get to be myself? And maybe you were
Hmm.
quieter. I'm curious. Were you quieter? Were you more like Shifu, or were you the opposite?
No, I think I'm more like Shifu,
Okay.
and I'm quite more reserved that way. So, that actually felt a little bit more natural to me to kind of take a step back and be thoughtful with your words. But no, I had no idea what I was really saying at the time.
I don't think
Uh,
anyone does now.
yeah. You kind of get it. Oma teaches, right?
Oma
And I'm
teaches.
teaching him right now. Um, and so like things like that. But then I forget what the last line was.
Thank you
That
for telling me of my mother.
what's that, sorry?
Thank you for telling me about my mother. That
Yeah,
gets me in the feels every time.
yeah,
But a
yeah.
spark lights a flame, but the candle can only burn as long as the wick. That was
That's right. Yeah, that's
Rick
from
is
Pretty Wise.
funny.
Yeah. So he's like, I think what he's saying is the good wick is, or a long wick is good, is always good to have, or
It's,
something
it's
like that.
essential to the whole ball of wax.
That's right. Yeah, that made me giggle pretty hard watching it with my daughter the other day. So,
Oh yes. So I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Do you remember what Shifu's name meant?
uh, no, I don't. Uh,
Light.
Light. That's right. That
Yeah.
makes sense too when you think back. Yeah.
But actually, in Chinese, it has several different meanings. One of which is master. So it's again relating. You've inside this avatar of a small child. You have God knows what kind of power. Once he comes to the SGC, he is the most powerful force on Earth,
Yeah.
and that's kind of spooky.
Yeah.
You rewatched this the other day
I
with
did.
with your oldest.
Yeah, she made it about halfway through the film and then got got disinterested.
She did.
Yeah, she didn't finish it watching it with me,
Oh
unfortunately.
no.
But I made my girlfriend stay and watch the whole thing.
Wait, did that hurt your feelings just a little bit?
No, if
Okay.
you know my daughter, she's seen me. She just gets distracted.
Okay. Well, you are bookending the story. You're not there for really the middle portion of it, except to eat a bowl of Fruit Loops.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I didn't get to eat Fruit Loops as a kid, so that was my favorite scene throughout the whole show.
Oh, really? They let you
Yeah.
eat them. That's great.
Yeah,
Oh
I
man.
was so full and sick by the end of that episode, though. But I'll tell you that.
What do you think of it as an episode of television now, as a warning, as a the thing that was interesting at this point in the show was that we were never getting advanced technology. We
Yeah.
wanted it and we never had it, and it's like these aliens are just stringing us along. Brad Wright
Mhm.
gave us an episode where, okay, we're going to give it to you, and not only are we
Yeah.
going to give it to you, we're going to carve out a landmass with some of it. Um, and so we get it, and it also gets taken away at the end. But the audience gets the satisfaction of seeing a dark path that we would go down were we to achieve what we wanted to achieve, which is to take the information out of your mind and put it to use. As an
Right.
hour of drama and as a sci-fi warning
Hmm.
metaphor, what do you think of it? And Michael's performance.
I mean, his performance was great. I mean, to show kind of, even him as a moral man would,
Right.
with absolute power corrupts absolutely. That this path that we were essentially wanting to go down, where um, would basically lead to the destruction of yourself, right?
That's
And
right.
so choosing the path of morality and growth, like personal growth, and going down that path is basically what's going to save you at the end, not this weapon and technology and just being the bigger bear, right?
The only way to move forward is to deny it battle.
That's correct. Yeah.
Was Michael good to you?
He was great. He was fantastic. Really great to work with. Really patient, kind of with a kid, understanding kind of what was going on, and made me realize at that time, this being my last episode, that these guys love doing this way more than I do. They're truly invested into these characters and really understand the meaning behind the episodes that as a kid you just kind of miss out on, right? Um, but it was such a good episode because yeah, we all wanted to see them have cool weapons and,
Right.
kind of go, why are you using bullets when these guys are shooting lasers? Um, it feels like bringing a knife to a gunfight
That's it.
a lot of the time. So it was really cool that we got to see all that and then what we would do with this technology. But ultimately, in our hands, that's not what was going to win us the battle. It was, our moral integrity and our ethical compass to kind of drive us forward, right?
100% correct. I could not
Yeah.
say it better. Were you present on the set when they were shooting the opticals with the lights, and or were you off in school for that? And I'm curious, do you recall your reaction when you first saw it of how amazing they turned you into a glowing Q-tip? I mean, what a cool! It still largely stands up, and I can speak for Bruce Woloshyn and his team at Rainmaker. That's what turning that into you and you into that. That is a hard effect. That's one of the hardest effects that they ever did.
Especially at the time, right? Like when we like seeing that episode of what they did to me versus acting it was quite different. Basically, there's just all these lights around you that they're using just to blind you out, and I just remember it being incredibly hot, um, being next to all these blindingly bright lights. Um, but basically, yeah, they're attaching a bunch of light bulbs to you, having a bunch of whole lights behind you, and the fact that they were able to turn that into what you see on the screen is quite cool.
It's just
Um,
ridiculous
One of the
quality of
moments
effects.
they where I touch Daniel's head and they have that light come out of my hand there, that was just like a light bulb in the palm of my hand, which I couldn't bend my hand too much or I'd burn my hand on the light bulb or I'd burn his head when I touch his head, right? So I had to be a little careful of that.
Thanks,
Um,
thanks, Lane. Thanks a lot. Makeup.
yeah,
A lot of a
that's
lot
right.
of makeup.
Yeah, where's the aloe?
Jeez, man, oh man.
Yeah.
Before I forget about this, there was a game that came out later called Stargate SG-1: The Alliance. It didn't come out. It was in development, and this was around
Okay.
season 8, which would have been season 9, I think. Season 8, season 9. So it would have been '04 or '05. And what a lot of people don't know is that Shifu is in it. He's got dialogue. Was that you? Did they reach out to you?
Uh, no,
Okay. So someone
no,
else,
that,
someone else did those lines.
yeah, I fear so, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
my voice would have been very different too,
Well, his
as
age growth,
at
his
that
growth
age.
stopped. So were we to see him again, it would have made sense to have your voice a little bit deeper. So in
Right.
the dialogue of the episode. So I've always been curious about that because I have access to the audios, all the cast recordings for it, and it was
Okay.
just yeah, it was a younger voice, but I couldn't be sure, and I always wanted to ask you that. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, it was not me. I didn't even know that there was a game in development, to be honest, but that would have been cool actually,
Yeah, it was
to see that.
it was a PC game, and it just didn't move forward. But I love this character, man. What do you think happened to him after he went on his merry way?
Well, I'd like to believe that he tries to live a life of peace and, kind of share that with other people and as a child, I believe he's probably just hanging out in the forest, living his best life. Uh, but I'm not. I think the best thing for him to do was try and stay away from people that were going to try and use him for what he knows and his power and stuff. So,
I don't think anyone could make this kid do anything.
well,
You
I think that a
know?
lot of people try though. So,
Oh, for sure,
yeah,
absolutely, and get a toasted bottom as a result.
yeah,
This thing, whatever he is now, is fully capable of defending himself.
yeah,
Um, I've got some fan questions for you.
absolutely.
Let's have a look. All right. Lockwatcher wants to know, Lane, did you end up with any props or relics, anything to personally take away with you from your short time on the show? And if not, as a fan yourself, what would you have liked to have had?
Oh, that's That's good. I mean, I mean, who wouldn't like to have their own Stargate at home? I mean,
I speak from
just like this one
experience.
in the corner, yeah. But no, I didn't really get to keep any of the props
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, unfortunately. I thought about trying to sneak some of the robes home when I was a kid, Halloween costume or something, but
Did you have two sets of robes or did you have one set?
that though there's like three or four sets that they
Wow.
have.
Yeah, because you're in the dunes, so it was a little bit sandy.
Yeah, and stuff can get ripped and stuff like that. So,
Did
um,
did you meet Eric Avari at all? Did you get any just exchange any words with him on that day on set?
uh, no.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
believe so. I think I just saw him in passing,
Okay.
but not a full-on conversations, no.
Crappy grandfather. All right. Very good. Tracy says you have Tracy's Canadian. You have a really tough job working in the oil industry. With you living in Vancouver, has it ever crossed your mind at some point to get back into the industry in any little way?
So I live in Kelowna, BC, the sunniest place in BC here. Not in Vancouver anymore.
We are well
So
aware of Kelowna.
yeah, we enjoy the boating here, and the sunny weather. Growing up in Vancouver, it rained all the time.
Right.
In Kelowna, you get the sunshine. So I don't really see myself getting back into the industry. I really do love my job. It is hard.
Hmm.
Um, you're working 12 hours a day. You're away from home. Um, you're running heavy equipment in a, dangerous field, but I quite enjoy it. I've been running equipment since I was a little kid. And
Wow.
so for me, it's like still playing in the sandbox. So
Hmm.
I quite enjoy it, but
Yeah. How's any concerns about like I have a friend who just destroyed his back in construction. Are you taking care of
mm.
yourself?
We try to, yeah. We
We tried to.
The biggest thing is, I mean, you're sitting all day for 12 hours a day.
Okay.
But
So taking care
so
of yourself down here is what you're saying.
that's right. So, you get off shift, you're trying to do squats and trying to keep your legs um, you know, fit and stuff, but um
Marcia
yeah.
wanted to know. We already asked about the reactions to the episode. I'm curious. Have any of them ever expressed any interest in the arts in terms of theater or getting in front of or behind the camera or anything creative?
My children?
Hmm.
Yeah. My my daughter uh uh she thinks she wants to be an artist, like doing, things like that. She's quite good at drawing, and she wants to kind of get into clay sculptures, and I'm trying to get her into horses and kind of have her on that side. But yeah, they're a goofy bunch, but I don't see
Uh,
me wanting to put them behind the camera too much. So
no, I understand. Raj wanted to know at the time, was this decidedly a one off? Or were there any murmurs of mentioning to you in any way that would you be interested in coming back? We might see him again someday. A lot of the performers who come on are often told this could be recurring in the future in some way. And I was curious to know if any of those conversations were ever had with you.
yeah, so they told me that it might be a recurring role if that was, something that might come up later on if I'd be interested in coming back. And I was kind of transitioning out of the industry.
Right.
So I told them, I would come back if they needed me for an episode to kind of continue the story, just because I had committed to the part previously. But other than that, I wasn't really planning on, auditioning for it and kind of pursuing it. So if they need it for their story, I would participate, but it wasn't yeah, it wasn't something I was planning or hoping to come back and do. So
If if Brad Wright or Rob Cooper or whoever gets moves forward with Amazon and the fourth Stargate series that or movie or whatever it is comes along and they say, "Hey, we've got this character involved in it again.
mhm.
Would you be willing to come back for a couple of days? Were they willing to work with your schedule?
Absolutely, yeah. I would do that for sure. I mean it's a great show, and the fans are so great, and it would be cool to do that. I'm not a full-time actor anymore,
Yeah.
and that's not really something I'm interested in doing, but for a cool project like coming back for that would be really cool. I'd be interested in that.
So if people approached you, you're willing to let them sell you. All
Well, of
right.
course, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Toffee wants to know, I think I know the answer to this. Who was your favorite actor on the show to work with?
Ooh, um, the guy who played Teal'c. I mean,
Christopher.
Christopher, yeah, he
Oh
Christopher
man.
Judge there. I couldn't believe him because he's such a good actor.
Yeah.
Because he is the funniest man I've ever met to this day. And then for him just to go stone faced for every episode, amazed me for starters. But he was so much fun. So yeah,
Uh,
I'd say he was definitely my favorite actor to work with.
the uh, the laughter that comes out of that man is absolutely extraordinary and completely infectious.
Yeah,
Christopher is just he is Shifu. He is a ball of light, you
yeah, that's
know.
right.
Absolutely.
He definitely made everyone's day just so much better. Just hearing him laughing from down the hall. Um, but yeah, just that deep guttural laugh that he has is something else as a kid.
Anything that I'm missing from that production? Anything that you want to touch on that occurred to you? Um, is there is there anything that you've taken with you as one of your last film projects for the rest of your time that stands out?
Um, I mean, it was just a really cool being a part of that big of a production. Um, which was just really neat seeing how all everything works behind the scenes and like Richard Dean Anderson, he was a great actor to work with as well, and same with Amanda Tapping. They just really made the experience as wonderful as possible for someone like me as a young kid, getting into acting. And I think the biggest thing before I did Stargate was I was on Outer Limits
Yeah.
for an episode for that, which was a lot of fun. But um,
Also at Bridge.
pardon me.
Also at Bridge Studios.
That's right, yeah. Which is really nice because I only lived 15 minutes away at the
Oh,
time. So
jeez. Yeah, we got
yeah,
to get out of here. We got to be there in 10.
that's right. Yeah,
Jeez,
in
man.
Vancouver, that's a huge bonus. Being able to get anywhere that quickly. So
Uh,
that was quite nice. But
do you have any advice for anyone who are trying to put their children through what you went through? I'm curious.
um, yeah. So my best advice is kind of encourage the things that they are passionate about. If it's acting and stuff, make kind of understand what is behind that want to be an actor. Is it, the storytelling? Is it the, you know, being in touch with emotions like a lot of these characters need to be, or is it, just, wanting to be behind a camera and stuff? I think encouraging the kids that kind of more into the storytelling aspect and wanting to understand the people side of it, that's where the real passion kind of comes from. And so yeah, letting your goofy kids kind of want to explore different characters and yeah, if they want to get behind the camera in front of professionals, get an agent and slowly have them audition for things. And you know if they enjoy the grunt work of what that comes with it, keep pursuing that. But if they decide that, that the work end of it isn't really um, something they get excited about,
Yeah.
then it might not be the right thing for them because it's 90% of it is just is just work and memorizing lines and kind of understanding, being on set on time. And then you're also trying to fit in schooling and you're doing homeschooling. A lot of times they'll have like tutors there on set for you, but you really miss the social aspect of school when you're not in school and you're working on these sets. So I found it quite difficult when I was going to school, fitting in. So you kind of have to um, find other ways to fit in as a child and be a part of your social group, one that you don't really get as a full-time actor or
Yeah.
um, a working actor, essentially.
Well, it's one of the things that you hit the nail on the head. It's something that I wanted to ask you about. So you feel that um, it wasn't like, man, is this, I mean, and I'm sure part of it was, man, is this cool that I'm here? But
Hmm.
also, I really am missing some other things that I want to be a part of
Yeah.
while I'm doing all of the, and I'm not just talking about being on set, but I'm talking about all the auditions. I
Hmm.
think, I'm
Yeah,
missing other things that I want. That would be frustrating
yes.
because your
So
your
another
childhood
thing,
is here and then it's gone,
yeah,
and you don't know that as much at that point.
no, I mean, you don't know anything different, right?
Hmm.
You kind of know when you're involved in sports, like I was doing football and stuff, and all these other kids, they all know each other. They all go to the same school. So you kind of feel like the odd man out.
Yeah.
And when you're on set and you're working with like adults and other actors, and then you go and try and play with kids,
Hmm.
um, it's very weird because you go from this mature area and
Yeah.
setting, and everyone's kind of got a job to do, and then you go to kids hanging out with kids your age that are 8, 9, 10, and it's just a very different kind of world that you kind of have to separate yourself from. But yeah, you realize that you're missing out, especially when I was after Stargate and getting into my teens, that
Right.
you really started to notice that just going on auditions and having to memorize lines, um, quite often you're missing schooling or you're missing sports or you don't really have the time to put into your other hobbies and interests. It's kind of a all or nothing kind of thing, it feels like sometimes. But I guess it really depends on how much you're auditioning too.
Did your classmates know what you were doing?
Yes and no. I mean, few of my close friends did,
Okay.
but for the most part, I didn't really want everybody to know.
Okay.
Um, Otherwise, they just kids can be mean sometimes, so you
Of
try and
course.
keep them away, um, unless they're your close friends, kind of knowing that. So.
Do you wish uh, that you hadn't gone that your mom hadn't gotten you into this, or do you wish that you had pulled out sooner at any point?
No, I think I pulled out about the right time.
Okay.
My voice was starting to crack
Yeah.
really bad, and I just went through a growth spurt after this episode. So it seemed like the right timing to to get out of acting. But I mean, um, I really enjoyed like learning lines because I had a pretty good memory that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of felt like I could have a leg up on other kids because I could memorize 10 pages of lines overnight, which is a pretty handy skill for school, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, I mean, I enjoyed all that stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I got to really spend a lot of quality time with my mom too, which,
Ah.
making a lot of memories with her because she always went with me on the auditions and
Ah.
helped
Okay.
me think with lines. And um,
Are you an only child?
no, I had two other sisters. So
I see.
yeah,
A
my
lot of
one
girls in
sister.
your life.
Oh, yeah, too many. That's why I work on the oil in the oil field.
So you have a balance.
That's right. Like I'm home, it's all my toenails are painted right now
Oh, of course they are.
of course, right? And then you go to the patch and yeah, it's diesel and oil and the heavy equipment and that's right.
Me lane, me throw rock.
That's right. So it's a good balance, that's for sure.
Was the financial aspect beneficial to you later on? I mean, did it help with college? I mean, were or any aspect of that?
I mean, yeah, it had me when I was a kid. I mean, I didn't have to rely on my parents buying me things. I just had my own income. I
There
mean,
you
I
go.
even had a lawn mowing business when I was a kid, so I'd mow all
Hey,
the neighbors' lawns.
me too, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I stayed pretty busy between the acting and mowing lawns, and as a kid had a decent amount of income um, throughout my life, which has been helpful for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, as a kid, I mean, I bought every single Transformers that they made. And I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh, so I bought a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I still wish that I held on to them, but when I turned 20, I sold it all and
Some of them are
bought
worth tens of thousands now.
I
It's
know. Well, I mean,
ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, I had a bunch that were still in the boxes, and they were Beast Wars, the
Yeah.
Transformers.
Yep.
And so then they recently came out with the Beast Wars Transformers movie. Um, and so I was like, oh, I should have kept those Optimuses and those first gen.
Woulda,
But
shoulda, coulda, man. You know,
I
there's only
know.
so much. You
Yeah.
know, take it from me, who has an eighth of the Stargate franchise in his house. There's only so much you can keep.
Yeah.
Too
There's
much
only so much
sometimes.
room when you got three girls in the house,
That's
right?
right.
You can't put that there. So
Jeez.
I get the garage. That's a
Oh,
is.
that's funny, man. Lane, this has been really cool. This I'm glad that you recognize your how critical you were to the story,
Mhm.
and that we had you to play that role because my favorite character has I think probably always been Daniel.
Yeah.
And it was a great lesson that you bookended for a great episode of
Mhm.
a great kind of what if, and closed a lot of the doors for the earlier seasons of the show. So to be able to get down, get down with you, like to be able to
Mhm.
sit down with you and talk about that chapter of your life and that chapter of the show has been a privilege.
Well, thank you. It's been a privilege to be a part of it, and I mean Daniel was my favorite character for sure, especially as I grew up watching it, and you realize that I mean this character is the last piece of his wife that he has
Yeah.
to hold on to as well, and the double-edged sword of I want to help this information get out of him to that could help us get back at these people that took my wife from me, but also just being there in front of him just reminds him of that hurt. um
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Something that could have been his and hers,
yeah,
but wasn't because of such
because
evil.
it was taken away, right, by
But
this.
also, good things can come out of evil acts as well.
That's correct.
That's kind of wild. What did you think when he died? When he became like you?
Ah, that's yeah, I mean, I really I don't know what to say about that.
It's pretty. That was. It's one of my favorite episodes of any TV series. It's an episode called Meridian, and
Hmm.
that was a Rob Cooper show, and made us reflect a lot about our purpose and what it is that we leave behind, and you know setting a course for ourselves and taking a different path.
Yeah.
But in the show, it didn't work out for him. He was like, "Screw this! 1 year was fine. I'm done." So great
Hmm.
episode. So
Yeah. It
appreciate you
was a
spending the
lot of
time.
fun and a privilege to be on the show, and I'm appreciative of all the fans that understand the importance of the character. It's just surreal to me 20 years later, thinking about that part of my life again. But yeah, no, it's a real honor to be a part of it, that's for sure.
Good memories.
Absolutely, yeah. Great memories.
Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show on this side.
Okay, sounds good.
You take care of yourself.
You take care too.
Bye bye, buddy.
Bye.
Lane Gates, everyone. Shifu in Stargate SG-1's Absolute Power. When you get the child actors on, especially the ones that we that aren't acting anymore, you never know what you're going to get. You don't know if they're going to be thoughtful about it. You don't know if they're going to be just like, that was a couple days of my life. That was great, but that's what it is. He was far more forthcoming than I would have expected. I guess because Shifu was so quiet. That's probably the big chunk of it. So thank you, Lane, for that. I really appreciate your insight. Before we go, if you like what you've seen with this episode, please click the like button. It makes a difference with the show and will continue to help us grow our audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. And if you plan to watch live, continuing in the future, I recommend giving the bell icon a click so you'll be the first to know of any schedule changes, which happen from time to time. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next few weeks on both the Dial the Gate and the gateworld.net YouTube channels. My tremendous thanks to my producers, Linda Fury and Anthony Rowling, my co-producers, Evie and Nicole, my moderating team who made this episode possible, Anthony, Jeremy, Marcia, Summer, Tracy, Raj, Lockwatcher, and Kevin. Can't do the show without you guys. Big thanks to Frederick Marcoux at Concepts Web, who keeps dialthegate.com up and running. Let's take a look at that schedule. I want to make sure there weren't any questions for me before I go. No one has questions for me. That's okay. Let's look at the schedule here real quick. Pull this up. Button. All right. Robert C. Cooper is going to be in about half an hour. I will be dropping that pre-recorded interview. Corin Nemec is joining us next Saturday live, April the 5th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to have a specific episode delving into character. And we're going to compare and contrast a couple of his characters, Harold Lauder from Stephen King's The Stand, and of course Jonas Quinn from this little show called Stargate SG-1 that we know about. Dean Marshall, Sergeant Bates, is an hour and a half later from Stargate Atlantis at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, live Saturday, April the 5th. And then the next day we have April the 6th, unboxing a fan-made puddle jumper with Martin McLean. You don't see that one behind me here yet because I have not unboxed it yet. So those videos are going to be made later on this week. And then April the 12th, Rob Fournier is coming back for the Complete Earth Weapons Guide to Stargate and Rare Earth merchandise. Rare Stargate merchandise. You can read the rest. It keeps on going. We're busy. My name is David Reed for the Dial the Gate. I really appreciate you tuning in. It means a lot to have you. I'll see you on the other side.